Welcome to the PaleyFest Fall TV Previews. I'm Emily Longeretta, the Senior TV Features Editor for Variety, and I'm delighted to be your host for this special conversation celebrating Fox's highly anticipated new drama series, Monarch. And thanks to City, the festival's official card and official sponsor, for their help making this program possible. Today, we are thrilled to welcome the members of the series' gifted cast and creative team. Joining us are Anna Friel, Joshua Sasse, Beth Ditto, Meagan Holder, Melissa Hilfers, and Jon Feldman. I am so excited to chat with all of you. And Melissa and Jon, I want to start with you guys and kind of talk about how this came about, how long it took, where the idea came from. I think Melissa, maybe best for you to kick this off.
So, gosh, 3.5 or so years ago, I was sitting in a restaurant with Gail Berman, who is one of our executive producers. And she mentioned that Fox was looking to do something in the country music space. And I just lit up right away and immediately started imagining, what if we reimagine the Romanov dynasty as a family of country stars in Austin, Texas? And it kind of grew from there. It took a while to cook. And then I think it was exactly the week that I was told we were about to get a pilot order. It was March 18th-ish of 2020, which was not a week to be hoping for a pilot order. And instead of getting a pilot order, in order to show confidence in the show and to keep things moving forward, they called me and said, well, listen, we're not ordering anything into production because there's this, pandemic happening. But would you write episode 2? We really want to see where this goes. And from there, things kept moving. And it's a very big, very ambitious show. So we really took all the time and got us to here.
Yeah. And Jon, when did you come in? What could you say about your signing on to it?
Production had began and they started to shoot and they said, do you want to be a part of this? And, I looked at the cast and I read Melissa's pilot and I couldn't say yes quickly enough. I mean, it's just a super fun world with, gifted performers, both in front of the camera and the musical team behind the camera. But, I was just, really, really grateful to be a part of this show because I just think it's such a big swing, as Melissa said, and it's got so much music and drama and heart. And so even though I joined long beyond Melissa, I just think it's been a really special place to be.
Yeah, I mean, and people obviously at this point have seen the first episode, and I want to talk about the relationships and the chemistry that we see on screen, starting with the relationship between the 3 siblings, because I think that is really what this is built on and how powerful that is. So Anna, Beth, and Joshua, could you guys talk a little bit about forming the chemistry and the bond between you guys and how it was like when you first met?
Josh just took this question and I'm gonna it was such a good answer. It was really, I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. So Josh, take it away, Josh.
What? I don't know what I said. No, I mean, I think what's really lovely, and I have to I've got to pay big kudos to Anna and Beth because the way that they brought themselves to set every day sort of raised the bar for everybody, because there's no area in the script that you cannot really dive into the truth and the honesty of every moment. But that's really taxing in this show because the themes and the topics that you're talking about are really, really deep and very, very personal. And Anna and Beth came every single day and just wanted to unwrap and unravel every single part of the scene and try and be as completely authentic as possible. And if you've ever met them, it's very difficult to not be that way. And I think because we all came with a sense of play and in very different aspects, I think, I'm speaking for Beth, but you've got to be very honest as a musician because your audience will see if you aren't. And from Anna's and my point of view, coming from theatre, there's this real search for authenticity and sort of delving through everything. And I think what was nice is we all came from it with all our different ways and angles and personalities, but we were all going.
Was one of the coolest things that you said. I was like, that's so profound. It really is so true. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to say kudos.
Oh, well, I mean, but what was nice is because it was all different and we are all very different. And Melissa's script and Jon's script was gearing us to that. So it all just felt like this sort of synonymous kind of journey of discovery, and we were all going through it in a very personal way and laughing because it was so intense, and joking, and that camaraderie sort of bonded us in a way that I don't think we expected. I mean, certainly I didn't.
I think the main aim, obviously, and a starting point for any drama is to make what you're doing authentic and believable. And siblings bicker, siblings laugh together, siblings cry, siblings despair, siblings have hope and wonder. And I think all working together for 9 months, you go through all of that and you try and capture as much of the authenticity and bring it to the screen. So it's as believable as possible. So it's not as big a stretch for the audience to suspend disbelief. And I, for one, feel I've come away with a sister I didn't have and a new brother.
That's right. I felt like I'm so new to everything, and the patience, and also like serious little sister vibes. I really was like, what are we doing? Like I was always like needed a lot of guidance, honestly. And like I really had to ask, like, at one point, one of my favorite stories is I think we were like a no joke, maybe 6 months in or something. They were like, hey, something of the master, it's gonna match the master.
Yeah, do not start with this master stuff. You know exactly what a master is.
No, this is a swear to God,
exactly what a master is. It's the big wide shot.
I said, Anna, what are they talking about? And I was like, what is a master? And she was like, you know what it is. I was like, I don't think you know. I do not know what they're talking about. But that kind of patience, and then things that I really didn't know, like marks. There were things like the basics, having Josh and Anna there, and like it really was very like little sister, like needing a lot of guidance and a lot of permission. So like I really like, there was a lot of being like, who cares? Like just like do this, or like there was just like really a lot of schooling, and that was very, very sweet and like a really special bond to me. That I don't really know because for one, Anna never believes me. I'll be like, I don't know what they're talking about. She's like, yes, you do. I'm like, no.
I don't believe you either. No. Beth likes to pretend she's like the unfrozen caveman performer, like she knows nothing. She's like this whiz.
The thing is, it's like no.
She's like a showbiz savant who knows everything.
Beth's a bit like Trace, though.
Ask Josh. Josh had to make me a printout. This is a true story. A printout of camera angles and what they meant, like a cartoon drawing that he found, and I put it on in my folder so that I could reference it, because that's what I'm talking about. People don't believe me. You will believe me when you see how good of a job I did on the show.
You do an amazing job with Beth and Trace coming in. Is that they're not coming in from a singer's point. They're not performing. They're just being these characters, and it raises your level so much, because it's sort of shockingly honest and complete to the bone, and it raises the level.
I think that's what's cool, is that there was a family of like, it's just like you said, like you really put it so well, that like we were all coming from such different approaches, and like that is very familial. Like everybody is like coming from a different place, and like has their own process, and like there's no shortcut to people's personalities, and that's like never more true than with a family. Like
Emily, there was a night maybe a month into shooting. I don't know if you three remember this. We went for sushi, and they were eating off each other's plates and kind of arguing with each other, and I was like, Anna, we shared.
So me and Josh, I remember one time he was like, be quiet. And I was like, no, tell me to be quiet. So then like, it's like, we did like argue, but that was the thing. Nobody was like, there wasn't like a big ego about it. Nobody was like super upset. But
it's very, very real life family. So that's nice.
Yeah. But even better, because there's no weird loaded history. So
100%. Well, Meagan, I kind of want to bring up for you. I mean, obviously it's not the familial relationship, it's the romantic relationship with two of the beautiful people we have here. So you were able to form this great chemistry with each of them. So can you talk a little bit about that and how that kind of came about with you and Joshua and you and Beth?
I love them both. I love all three of these people. I think for me, character-wise, Jon said this to me from the very beginning, and he told every director that came in that Kayla is not the villain in the story. And so I really made sure that as I approached this really bad decision making of having an affair with your wife's brother, that it was coming from a place of mistakes. You know, she's just a woman that made a mistake, and she's trying to figure out how to get out of this mess and keep the relationship that means the most to her, which is her relationship and her marriage to Gigi. You know, Josh and I have a great chemistry. Beth, I have a great chemistry. I laugh so much with everyone. Anna, every scene, and we've said this to each other, but I absolutely love scenes with Anna. But off camera, it was all equally just like a really supportive group. And all of them have been there for me in different ways. So I hope that that shows.
I mean,
I also want to say I learned so much from Meagan too. A bunch of pros.
We spoke a lot with Melissa and Jon about how important it was with the family mythology going forward, that yes, that mistake that they made was a mistake and a human error, but also that it was grounded in a real feeling, and that it wasn't, you know, there's a difference between quote unquote a romantic liaison of the night and there being something that was tethered in love. And that was really important, that what we had wasn't, you know, sardonic, is that the right word?
Yeah, like, just we weren't being intimate just for the sake of it.
Well, what's nice is because it's so like tense, and we were all quite tense working out how we were going to work it out. And I think hopefully the audience is going to feel the same.
Of course. I mean, I definitely think that that's something that's going to come through strong, and having seen a little bit more than the audience has, but I'm curious what you guys can kind of tease about that triangle going forward and kind of how that's going to affect the entire family, because as we know, this is really about this family taking over, and every little thing, and this isn't a little thing, every little thing though affects the entire family.
For me, with this triangle, and then with Nikki's character, I think I'm trying so hard to stay in this family. You'd think someone would run, but I want so desperately to stay with Gigi to work with me to make this happen.
I love that story. There's such a sadness about it. It would be so easy to see Kayla as this villain, but there's such a sadness, and like there's a story there that we don't know. Like there's so much of that story that's behind Kayla that we have no idea about. I think that's really exciting. The truth is like weird shit like this does happen. I mean, a Southern family. So.
I think there's many triangles throughout the show. There's not just that triangle. I think that's why you've been clever with the construct of the show. There's the triangle with Albie and Dottie and what's next in his life. There's Nikki and Wade and whoever else comes into it. Like there's triangles everywhere. There's a triangle between the siblings, and I think that's if there was a shape that would define the show, it would be triangle.
There's a concurrent theme, is that the motto of this family is the lies that go on behind everything. They consistently lie to each other about everything, every facet of their life. So of course they're going to lie to each other about their love lives as well as the backstabbing that goes on in terms of their career and the, you know, the heartstrings and the career strings and everything that goes on. So it's this, you know, triangular trifecta, if we're going to go along with that.
Everything works in threes.
Like Anna said, it's a show that's built on these secrets going forward, and every character has their own secret. The family has to join together to protect an even bigger secret. It's, as Josh said, and as Trace says in the show, lies are the real Roman legacy, and that legacy starts with Dottie and Albie, and it's handed to their children. And as Anna says, now I'm handing it off to my children, as Nikki says, sorry. And that is what the building block of the show is. It's secrets and it's lies, and it's the stakes that come with it over the course of the season.
I was just going to say, all set against country music, which is ostensibly 3 chords and the truth.
Right.
Is what?
That's very good.
3 chords and the truth?
3 chords and the truth.
3 chords and the truth.
In my mind, I've heard that as 3 quarts of wood.
That's my recipe. Three chords and the truth.
Well, I want to kind of talk a little about more about the music, because there are some incredible covers used in this, and I know some have been announced, so we can talk about it freely. So I want to see what covers are some of your guys' favorites, and what your favorites were to film and all of that. I mean, Anna, maybe we start with you.
Well, of course, How Do I Live? Because that was the first song that we did as a duet, and it's the first time I got to share the stage with the wonderful Beth Ditto. I liked some of the songs that were written for the show. I found those challenging, and I thought they suited our voices and the sentiment, and told the story of the characters, because House of Country Music does so well. It's so it's so full of emotion, and I loved some of the original songs, and I'm really excited for you all to hear them.
Yeah.
I love Anna's cover of our musical team rewrote "Country Girl Shake It For Me" as "Country Boy Shake It For Me."
Oh yeah,
Anna,
and that was fun, and it was a kind of tongue twister and a rap, and some of the time we get the songs maybe 2 days before, and I'm like, well, I have to learn this, the criticism, the critic, and the critic, and the critic. Sing it and dance and move. I was doing like lip sync, X Factor over 40 section, and all at once with 2 days' notice. So yeah, there was a lot of holding a water bottle at the house the night before trying to get that. But it was funny, and the people I played that to, they're like, oh, we like it as Country Boy. It was nice for the women to take ownership and turn it on its head, so to speak, or on its tail.
Beth, what was your favorite?
Golly, I really liked singing with Trace. I really liked singing the Willie Nelson song with Trace. I thought I love the idea, leave it to me to bring it around to this, but like two people could not be more different, but also there was this special thing about like me and Trace is like we're from very similar parts of the world. Like he and I we're born and raised not that far from each other. He's Louisiana, I'm Arkansas, but like I think he's really close to the border. And but like just like having a similar language, and like the way that he reminded me of all of my uncles, like it really is really soothing. And like I feel like on paper, like the two of us are like night and day, but the truth is like we have a lot in common. I don't know what Trace would say about that. I'd be like, well, you're
both authentic country singers. Well, you're both authentic.
We're singers, and that was the thing. But like I really loved that we both knew like this thing about like, one thing that I thought was really cool, follow me, is that we were talking about how as kids we were like waiting around, sitting in those chairs that are really uncomfortable if they say your name, so it feels really cool. But we were talking about how we remember the first time we ever saw alcohol at a wedding, because we both grew up in dry counties, and how that blew our minds. And that's such a special, like, especially like being out here, like we were in Atlanta, and like, like people, like people drink, or I don't know how to explain it, but like it's a different culture. It's different. I mean, it's just like, so I thought that was really special, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah. But yeah, like How Do I Live? And like Lester, like, I don't know. I love Inigo. Come on.
Melissa, what was your favorite? Because obviously this is your little child. So I'm curious. What
so hard. I mean, I love Kerosene. I love Cowboy Take Me Away. I mean, I think How Do I Live is probably my favorite, because that moment when the two of you sing together, like now it's so inextricably tied in my mind to sisterhood, which I don't think the song really is. Now I can't hear the song without crying. So.
But the one thing about the show is even though it's set in the world of country music, the songs that our musical team pulled in are pop songs and crossover songs that were performed by our artists in a with a country bent. So Beth did Juice by Lizzo, a country version of that, which is fantastic. And so there's just there's a really big variety of music that that we kind of bring to the show, and I just think it creates great fun.
It was pretty good. I was hearing, I mean, when we were doing Watermelon Sugar, and I was like, Trace, I just don't think I would have ever put you and a Harry Styles song together like this.
Because I was joking when I suggested that to Adam Anders. I was like,
it was so great. And I said, Trace, I was like, Trace, are you into Harry Styles? Is that? He was like, yeah, man, I love watermelon. Me and my dogs all go down the creek together and we eat watermelon on a hot day, man. I love it. And I was like,
Don't think that's the song.
Well, and we have a question from our festival sponsor, City. TV fans love that the series explores the dynamic within an epic family dynasty. So I'm curious what you guys are most excited for viewers to experience within your own musical family dynasty.
I'm really excited for people to see how difficult it is for a woman who is balancing children, parents, business, and trying to see her dreams come true happen. I'm really excited to see how Anna embodies that female power.
Yeah.
I'm currently in New York, but getting packed, ready to come here for a few days, thinking, I wish right now I was Nikki Roman with the greatest lighting on tap and the hair and the makeup.
I know.
Because I think it's exciting to see that incredibly affluent life where everything is done for you, everything is on tap. And yes, they have their problems which are relative to them, but my gosh, the cars, my car that Nikki Roman has was so luxurious to me. I would go and sit in it in between takes because I was so impressed by it.
Baller.
It was like the inside of a private jet was the car. I was like,
that
people
was my
buy these? It was amazing.
Where's Anna? In the car.
I think it's because it's so entertaining and such a ride. It's so fun with so many twists and turns, and you can't quite work out who is who and what's going on. And I think it's one of those sit back and enjoy the ride, excuse the pun.
I think that's also, why people love watching shows like The Crown is because everything is on such an enormous scope. And, we all come from such different walks of life and have had varied careers. And, even Susan would come on set and be like, oh my God, everything is sort of so extraordinary. And I was in a costume fitting even. I was coming out and Susan was coming in and she was going, what? Is this just your show? Is this just you? And there are just rows that go on and on the horizon, and the sets are just sort of everything on such a huge scale that even for us and even Trace and everyone's had this, extraordinary varied career, but everybody's just going, this is sort of nuts. And like Anna said, like the cars and the jewelry and the hats and the dresses and these mansions that just went on and on and on. So as a viewer, you're just getting this wealth of, visual and audio stimulation. And it's sort of amazing to kind of live vicariously.
But they have bigger problems than any of us.
Would you actually like to be them? You forget the wealth and the affluence. They live in a house of cards. I think it's that lesson, isn't it? Be careful what you wish for.
I think it's just really funny that Gigi is like just trying to be so chill and like she's got it all together, but like that family is just like, oh, she's like, no matter how hard I try, I'm gonna get bit in the ass by the damn Romans. Like, I just think it's really funny. Like, because like there's the affluence of like there's all this affluence, but like Gigi is just like not having it. And I don't know. I'm just really excited for there to be like a queer relationship on television that's like, I don't know, and to be a part of it and like to be like to like support to represent like my community. It's just really awesome.
It's nice that I feel like there's so many different communities, and Melissa and John, obviously you guys are to thank for this inside this show. I'm sure that was definitely intentional to kind of mix all of that together.
It was very much by design, in particular bringing in diversity in all ways, because you have a nuclear family, and how do we expand that world so that we're seeing
well, I know we have to wrap up soon, but I do want to ask you guys a little bit about, obviously the first episode that viewers have seen ends on quite the cliffhanger that I assume is going to have a ripple effect throughout the whole season. So what can you guys kind of tease about how what happened with Dottie will affect everybody going forward?
It will affect everything and everyone in every episode until the end of the season.
That's a number one fact.
Well said.
Rocks our world.
Yeah.
It's another one of our mysteries that is going to unfold over the course of the season, and this is it influences, as Anna said, it influences everyone and everything that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. This was so great. This was a very special PaleyFest Fall TV preview conversation with the wonderful cast and creatives behind Monarch. Thanks once again to City for their support, and you can enjoy more of these programs by clicking the subscribe button below.